Now, if you're hearing about Seben or Lingala music for the first time, or you've not played it before, the basic progression for Seben is the 1-4-1-5 chord progression. That's the basic progression. So today I want us to look at that, okay? The basic Seben progression, 1-4-1-5. If you want to learn Seben in detail, we have a full course that has 6 chapters that's over 2 hours long, where we go into different types of progressions. But we are going today to look at a sample of that course, so that if you'd like to get the full course, as usual, you'll get the link in the description below our video. But today we'll look at the 1-4-1-5, which is the basic Seben progression, okay? Enjoy this.
Welcome to Majesty's House of Music. Now, most of you have been asking us to do a course on some African styles, so we saw it better to start with Seben. Now, as you can see, I'm using a PSR keyboard. I'm not using the one I normally use for other tutorials. I'll be using a PSR keyboard, which is more familiar. So this is a PSR S950. I cannot be really sure what kind of keyboard you have there at home, but I'll be using one that is quite familiar. So this one is going to make it a little bit easier for us. So I'm going also to be using programmed beats. I'm going to be using programmed beats somewhere here. So we are going to be using beats that are programmed. Then as you can see, I have also split my keyboard. So I have my left hand voice, which is, I'm using sub bass. For those who have PSRS series, you'll find something like sub bass. For those who don't have, you could find just a bass line, a bass voice that is more suitable for you. Then on my right hand, I'm using an electric piano. So for this case, I'm using Suitcase. The reason why I'm using an electric piano and not a guitar voice is because someone told us that if you go to Congo, you are not supposed to be playing a guitar voice on your keyboard. So I'm going to be using an electric voice. But if you prefer the guitar voice, well, that is good. It's okay. You could even layer it with something like brass voice. If that's what suits you, you could layer it with something like a brass voice, something of this sort. Just choose a suitable brass voice. It doesn't matter. So whichever. Okay, that doesn't really sound good. So you just choose the suitable brass one that is probably not too bright. You don't want to make it very bright because it's not the main instrument. Something of, let's say I use synth. So maybe let's say I use synth brass. Then on my second voice is an electric piano, which is actually supposed to be my main voice on my right hand. Then on my left, I have a bass voice. So you could do anything. You could change this piano voice into a guitar voice if that is what you like. Okay? So it's possible. You could change it into a guitar voice. But we are going to be using an electric piano and a bass voice for now. Then we could layer it with some brass. Brass is just for accents. You don't want to make the brass sound louder than the piano, so we are going just to increase this piano voice and lower the brass a little bit. So, but you don't have to be playing the brass all the time. So that's it. Then I'm going to be using the key of F sharp, which is particularly more familiar. If you check properly, I've also moved my octave. I've moved my octave slightly towards the right to allow me play these bass lines. We're also going to increase this bass line voice. So those are just some of the settings you will use. For the tempo, depending on where you come from, you either want to keep it slow or make it go very fast. That depends on you. So for me, since I've been brought up in an environment where people like slow Seben, I'm going to be using tempo somewhere like 110 or even lower than that. Okay, so there are those who will go up to the tempo of 130. It just depends on where you've come from. So this is going to be a course on Seben, fully Seben. Maybe we could insert something else later. So Seben progression, Seben basics, and something of that sort. So that's just the introduction part of it. So this is the first part. We are going to be looking at you playing Seben as a one-man band. So we are going to do a section on playing as a full band, but for now section A is going to be playing as a one-man band, because I've realized that many of us, in church you just have a keyboard, yeah, so you pretty much have to be a one-man band. So playing Seben as a one-man band. And now in this very first part, we are going to be doing your techniques to use. Yeah, we are going to be doing techniques. So we're going to start with your left hand and then your right hand. So I'll start by demonstrating your left hand technique, and then I'll break it down, and then I'll demonstrate your right hand technique, and then I'll break it down. So let's start with the left hand. So I have a beat something like this. I'll take it slow so that you can see what I'm doing. So I'll pretty much reduce this tempo to something of this sort. Yeah. I also want to keep the style volume down because of the mic I'm using. So something of this sort. So I'm using tempo 101. That is it's kinda very slow. That's kinda very slow. So this is how you are going to play your left hand. So there are many techniques you can use, but first let us start with something like this. So I'm going to be stealing ideas from the bass guitar. Literally, that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be stealing ideas. So this is how a bass player sounds like. Let's say you are playing something like a 1-4-1-5. So this is how a bass guitar sounds like. So that's just simple. So you see, I'm stealing ideas from a bass guitar. So now you see this fifth here, this C sharp. That's going to act like my kick. Yeah, pa pa. The way a bass guitarist plays, you will hear this top wire. They usually play it along with the kick. So it's a 1-4-1-5. So this is what I'm going to be doing. So you have this. So you have your 1. So you start with your 1. Then to this lower 5. So F sharp. Then to C sharp. Okay, use it as a kick. So you basically do something like. Then that will lead you to this upper one. So you have something like. Okay, F sharp, C sharp, then F sharp. So okay, so F sharp, the lower C sharp, then the higher F sharp. So then back to the lower F sharp. So you have something like F sharp, C sharp, F sharp, then F sharp again. Okay, so okay, then you have your 4 now. Your 4, that's your B. You're going to play this 3 times. So something like, okay, so you have something like, then back to your F sharp. So like something of this sort. Then see, it's actually the same thing we are repeating. So F sharp, C sharp, F sharp, F sharp again, the lower octave, then B 3 times, then F sharp higher octave, back to F sharp lower octave. So that's the first part. So it looks like that's how the lower part looks like. So see how it looks like. So it looks something like that. And then now that's the 1-4. So we want to go to the 1-5 part. So this is how it looks like. So then so you finish with this part. You see what I'm doing? So after I come back to this 1, then to the 5 again. This 5, it really doesn't have any significance. Okay, it's just following the kick. It doesn't mean that it has any musical element to it. Okay, if you want to consider it musically, it's okay, but it doesn't really have any musical element. So you could just hit it. It doesn't even have to sound like, it doesn't have to sound like that. You just hit it. So you could just hit it just like that. So it just allows you to go with the kick. Okay, so you finished this part. Then to the 5 again. Then this time you are not going to come back to the 1, you're going to come to the 2. So to the 2 on the high octave. So 1, 5, then 2, then the lower octave again. That's the 2. So then 5 3 times again. 5 3 times, just like the 4. Then higher octave 1, lower octave 1. So that's how we finish. So the second part looks like, see how that looks like? So if you play the whole thing, this is how it looks like. So then you just continue. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to slow this beat. I'm just going to slow it down, and then we play the thing. Okay, so we are now at 84. Let's see how that looks like. I don't know. That's even a bit faster. Let's just slow it so that you understand these things. Yeah, so you have something like, okay, so that's the very basic